What be happening, fellas? This will be more fun to me than talking about engines, although some people may like talking about engines, but this is that Aeroworks kit that was built from a box of sticks 22 years ago. 22 or 23? It should be 22. Yeah, by Sean Berkheimer and Damon Parker, for Damon Parker. Probably Mickey worked on this. Who knows? Maybe Mo did too. Maurice Culverwell. And sitting in some guy's garage for 18, 20 years after that. And then I picked it up like 14 months ago when I just got back in the hobby. And now it is pretty close. So the wings are all done. They're ready to fly. 3 servos per aileron. All resoldered up, rewired. Quite a project. Sanded down for throw because they had no travel like at all. And they're ready to fly. Engine's ready to fly. Engine's broke in. Tanks, plumbing, everything's done. Cow's cut. And now I got the elevators. You can see how I did the gap seals. So after I sanded out all the bevels, then gap sealed it all. I've done this before. See, it looks clean. It always looks clean, no matter what color the plane is. You just do it in white. It looks good. And now we got major throwage. And the elevators are surprisingly big for a model back then. A lot of times the IMAC guys, Damon was an IMAC guy. That's why he had no travel. The bevels were barely sanded for like 20 degrees maximum throw, if that. So they typically didn't do the counterbalance, and they typically made the elevators smaller. Same with the ailerons. But this is surprisingly big ailerons and surprisingly big elevators when they cut them, because these are all foam sheeted. So they just, sheet the foam in the shucks and in a vacuum bag, and then they'd cut, the surfaces out after, so they get to choose how big they want them, and typically back then for IMAC and just the guys in general would make them real small. So that's why I bought the plane. I knew these Aeroworks were real cool back in the day. I knew the guys who built it. I knew they're really high quality builders. I knew it was, good kit. But if it had small surfaces, it wasn't going to be any good. This had big enough surfaces, but yeah, no travel. And now we got tons of travel. Elevator's all done. Yeah, I went one 961 on each side. It had 2 servos before, but back then the servos had like 180 inch ounce. These are 800 inch ounce. So you think about spreading the load, though. They spread the load more that way. But I think, I think they'll hold up. I just don't worry about the servos at all. They're bomb-proof, but I worry about like one control horn and all that. But these guys were pretty good. They would typically do like a hardwood dowel that they would glue in to like a balsa plug that was glued into the styrofoam. So, and then they drill the hardwood dowel, for the bolt. And it should be pretty sturdy. I just didn't want to add the weight of 2 servos on each side for now, to spread the load like that. But we'll see if it's not, if it comes out nose heavy at all, I could add those servos back to spread the load a little more. And but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I think it's totally bulletproof the way that it is. So yeah, wings are done, engine, tanks, batteries, everything's done, and now the elevators are done. So we've got the rudder all sanded out, but I gotta move both those servos down. They were where I put them, because it was pull before. Where I put them, they're a little too high, and the elevators hit them on the way down. So I gotta move them down a little bit, like half an inch. So that'll take a couple hours. And then I had 9381s on there, but I'm gonna change those out to 961s, and then I'll go ahead and do the covering. Remember I talked about cheating and not doing it till after the maiden, but yeah, I'm down to just the rudder. So I'll go ahead and finish it up right. Still gonna be a night or two. What is the night? Wednesday night? So Thursday night, Friday night. Who knows, maybe Sunday. Get this thing in the air, we'll see. So I'm pretty stoked on that. I have a pile of 9381s and I have 6 9380s. So anybody who wants to buy some 9380s cheap, and especially a bunch of 9381s cheap. This is a high quality servo. They're $189 now. Let them go for $80 or something. You know, they're all like lightly used. A lot of them have new gear sets though. And yeah, I want to go all 961s on everything. I just like those servos. They're 800 ounce, and then their gear trains are pretty darn rugged. So yeah, it's a sidetrack. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys that. So yeah, I feel pretty encouraged. I mean, even though I got the whole rudder thing to do, and I have to move the servos, so that's a pain. Still starting to feel like we're getting there. Gap sealing these, and look at all them hinges. Like there's where's my fingers messing it up? But look at all those hinges. Yeah, that was a pain, you know, and ironing all that down. And I really should re-gap seal the ailerons. I probably, for sure, I'm going to do the Maiden without it, but I had my lead carpenter sand those bevels and gap seal that. I like showed him how. He's in here, and I was like giving him instruction, and I was like working on something else. And yeah, that cost like $1 million to have him sand that down and gap seal it, but it's not. I don't even know if it'll stay on the. I think the gap seal is just going to blow off on the first flight, so it's nothing like the way these are done. Probably have to redo it, but I'm definitely going to do the Maiden first. Make sure I like this. Make sure it's worth it. But that's that, and then I'm going to get back to flying that extra that's behind that silly Consendo crash endo that I got for Alvin and Chris and Bob and Mark. They all have these, and they all fly them in formation. And they're all laughing all the time doing it, so I join the crowd. And we do have some fun with it. But that extra behind there, that's EF? Come, I can't remember the names of anything. But the brand from Horizon, it's 52-inch wingspan, 1.3 meter, E-Flight. Yeah, sorry, there we go. The brain's dead. Yeah, E-Flight Extra, which I think is like a pretty good trainer for me. It's pretty fun. It's pretty, you know, it's small and fast, which does make my big planes seem much slower, so they seem much easier, which I guess, you know, Juan Sanchez told me that's the whole idea. And yeah, I want to have some more fun with it. It does seem like it's, you know, it's just foam and everything, and little plastic controllers, all that stuff. So it does seem like with a 23-gram metal servos it's got in it now, and the fact that, you know, it flew pretty darn good, that I should just fly it, but couldn't help myself, and got some pretty serious servos for this thing. I don't know if it's going to focus on that, but yeah, D89 MWs. And these are the right replacement size. They got the same screw hole, same size servo and everything. But these are like, I don't know, 2 to 4 times more torque and more accuracy and all that kind of stuff. Probably pretty crazy on a little fun plane, but I got just 2 of them. So I figured elevator and rudder, and maybe those will lock in a little bit better. But I mean, it's not like it wasn't locking in, you know, but I don't know, just crazy ideas. So I got those. I'm looking forward to trying that and getting some work in, you know. Like I said in the engine video, like the last 6 months, like this year, 2024, what I look for in planes is just a tool that's going to make me better, you know. So like I keep saying lately, you know, I always used to get planes that I wanted a really cool plane, you know, I wanted it to look really cool, be really big, you know, and sound cool and look cool, probably like canisters, team pipe, something. And now, yeah, just what plane will help me get better? What can I use for a tool? So, yeah, and I'm pretty stoked, and it is nice looking and cool and fancy and stuff on that Extreme Flight 104-inch Edge 540. That's pretty nice all the way around. Like, kind of fly that thing and go, do you need a trash can plane? It's pretty good. But I'm still 20 feet up on the rifle rolls. I know I can 5 feet it up, but I'm just like, it's a new plane, just being careful, you know. But if I break out that Hangar 9 Extra 300, and I want to go through it. I never just fly these things when I buy them, you know, ready to fly used. I have to go through everything, you know, tanks and plumbing and servos and extensions and, you know, all the connections everywhere. I won't trust one bolt, one connection. Same thing I did on this, you know, I changed all these too, you know, it's your responsibility when you buy something to fix everything. But like these through bolts on the clevises for the Duro, you know, they were real short, like the stock ones. Can't even get the camera over here, can I? And you can barely see it right there. So these are just short bolts, 3/8 bolts that go into a small square nut that fits into a pocket on this side. And then there's like 2 or 3 threads is all you get on the 440. And there's no nylon, and you know, you might put a little Loctite on it or something, but I always take those out and I get aftermarket because it's a panhead. So panhead is the top head, so it's countersunk head, which is called, I forget what you call a countersunk head, but these are countersunk on this side. Allen, you know, and then I order them longer and then put a blind nut. So it goes through the factory inset nut, and then I got the blind nut on the outside, and I even Loctite that nylon lock nut, blind nut. Blind nut, what I could call it, blind, why? It's not a blind nut, it's a lock nut. So I go through the inner nut, and then I go through a lock nut. And so, you know, anytime you fly a plane, used, you bought it, or you're building it, or the manufacturer recommends all these kind of things, to me, I've always thought for 23 years, like, if something goes wrong, it's still you know, because you didn't fix the manufacturer's thing, you didn't fix the last guy that owned its thing. So, yeah, I went through on these, went through that situation, and, you know, everything, every nut and bolt, everything. And that's the same thing I got to do to the Hangar 9 Extra 300. And then I think, yeah, that plane I really plan on, like, never being more than 5 feet off the ground ever. Like crankshafts, pinwheels, you know, cartwheels, rifle rolls. That's gonna be, yeah, a DOD plane down on the deck, baby. This I don't know what I'm gonna do with. It's gonna be pretty. This is all monocoat, not ultra coat. And yeah, it's gonna be real pretty, and it's gonna be big. Yeah, not sure what I'm gonna do with it. But yeah, 14 months later, it's finally got control surfaces moving, and it's getting pretty close. Seems like there's one other thing I was gonna clear the buffer on, but that's probably pretty good. And with that, I'm out.